what and how you want to do it. The first way we can do it is we just, I do a normal presentation where I go through, it takes about an hour and a half to go through this presentation. And that's okay too, that works. Or I can, you can notes in this if you want to make notes. Or that's the one way we do it. Or the second way we do it is we work more as an interactive group and we actually dive into what are the challenges today that you have in the market that you feel you would like to work on or you'd like some help on to work on in the market today. The second option, you probably learn more about real estate as a whole in comparison to the presentation, to what is needed and what you're working on today. It's called fishboning. So probably today I would suggest that we do fishboning. It's my suggestion, but that doesn't mean that I'm good either way. It doesn't matter. But we will learn. You will learn more about what your challenges are today and what you feel that the challenges are in the market today in comparison to me just presenting and talking about my life in real estate and what we think we should do and how we should do it moving forward. So what's your thoughts? What would you like to do?
Fishbone.
Okay, Michelle, right there. I love it. Answer. Stevie, you got to move over here,
Okay.
please, because as soon as she said fishbone, now we have to break into groups.
Can I bother you for the handouts, please?
Sure.
Sorry.
Absolutely. No problem.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Michelle, for passing that down.
Thank you.
Okay, so what we're going to do then in that case, sorry, what was your name?
Joanne.
Joanne?
Yes.
Okay, Joanne, so you're going to be on their team. You're now on this team. So Steve will do his best, Joanne, to hear you and have your interaction as far as what we're going to do and how it's going to work. And for the betterment of Joanne, what we're going to do is we're going to go into two different groups in two different rooms. You have another closing room over here that we can work on for like 10 minutes. So that's all we're going to do. Then we're going to come back. So what we're going to do is somebody in this group is going to be, you're going to be group A. Your group what?
Group awesome.
Okay. A, awesome. Good job. He can spell. Okay. Okay, so you'll be B then, right? So then what we're going to do is you guys are brilliant. So you guys are going to go into that other closing room. So it's not so noisy in here for this lady. But not yet. So what you're going to do is you're going to, when you go into the other room, please, is write down, if you could please, as many challenges as you think that you're having right now in the market. Like as an example, say that I'm having a challenge working with expireds, or I'm having a challenge working with for sale by owners, or I'm having a challenge converting leads, or whatever it is that is your challenge. Follow me on that, okay? And so you're going to go do that, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to combine those lists, and then we're going to tackle those lists. And we're going to figure out how to try to handle all of those objections and all those hesitations, all those stalls that are out there in the market today. Okay?
Fair enough.
That's the exercise. That's how it will work. So if you guys want to grab the young fellow that just came and go to that room, and then we will start here. And that's basically the fishboning exercise.
Yeah, someone asked me to grab that after.
Okay.
Boy,
Okay. I'll stay here with
what's
you
the
guys.
biggest challenge?
What's your challenges? And we'll try to, I'm sorry, the girl on the camera, Joanne, we'll try to include Joanne as we go along also. Joanne, what's one of your biggest challenges today in the market?
One of my biggest challenges is lead generation, and I've got my volume turned right up.
No, I know. It's because of the TV connection.
What if you turn the TV?
I wonder if the TV volume is up.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's coming from the computer. That's the
Okay.
problem.
Converting leads.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
Okay, who's going to be the?
Yeah, we heard you now. We heard you, Joanne.
Awesome. Joanne.
The just looking ones in particular, when you know darn well that they are going to buy.
Okay, so converting leads. So now we go in this next step. Now what we do, I'm going to go through this with you guys, and then I'll go do it with them too. So then we go, sorry, sir, your name is?
Danny.
Danny, okay, great, Danny. So what we're going to do is, Danny, you're next.
Okay.
Then Michelle's next, then Steve. and Alex, if he wants to play the game. And you're gonna go with those guys in that other room, okay? And I'll be there in 2 seconds to help you. So then when it comes back to Danny, then you're gonna go ahead and give yours, and it goes all the way through. And then it starts over again. If Alex is in, then Alex would give his, and then he gives another one, and we go back again. And you can't duplicate. So therefore, if we do it right, we should end up with 10 challenges from your side. Make sense? Okay, dive in.
So this is just an objective or a struggle we're having?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
I've been a realtor for 5 months, so I'm not even dry.
So everything is.
everything's a challenge.
For me, I think, despite a fairly broad network, I think discovering leads, generating leads.
Generating leads?
Yeah. Keep it short and sweet. That's it. Just the heading. Okay.
Mine is technology today, what you have to do to get the client, like video presentations and videoing properties.
Yeah.
Everything is technology.
Mine is market retention. Just overall lack of confidence in the market, which is having an effect. The sellers are extremely tentative to sell when they're not confident they can find a place to buy.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And second of all, the other one for me is buyer quality. Go.
No, it goes back to Joanne.
Great.
Who's writing all these?
One of the challenges that I've been having lately, but there's not really anything that we can do about it, is how stringent the lenders are being as far as financing and how much time they're taking too.
Yeah.
So how would you define that challenge?
Good question. Like I'm dealing with one client right now who was pre-approved and then got turned down on a property by all three lenders, insurers rather. And then, so then we went through the formal thing of getting him pre-approved. He's gotten the pre-approval. So then I took him out on Sunday. He wants to write an offer on a property. I checked back with the mortgage broker, and now he's taking a couple of days while he kind of shops it before we actually submit an offer. So it's quite the process that just, and I've worked with this mortgage broker for a number of years and he's good. So I don't know I don't know if this is something that we can address. It's, I realize that it's more a lender problem, but.
Right, sorry, but how would you define your challenge? Is it approval? Bank approval?
Well, I guess it's managing the client's expectations, but I think I'm pretty good at that, I don't know.
So buyer finance.
I guess.
Or how about certainty of pre-approval?
Like you get the pre-approval and then it gets turned down. I understand on our first one why it got turned down. It was the property, but even so.
Well, we got the gist of it. It's just financing and pre-approval for your clients.
Yeah.
Danny?
Well, I'm working with this one buyer client, and we were premature in starting to look at properties without his pre-approval because he's a newer Canadian, new SIN number with his permanent resident authorization and this and that. But one of the things that we're noticing within his price point, he's looking and I'm looking and we find a property and we're gonna book a showing and it's pending.
Mhm.
You know, so I guess managing, you know, the clients and the client's schedule and ability to look at a property, like they're going pending some of these, you know, in the, you know, 350s, 380 price range in Edmonton, like they're gone.
An hour of
Yeah,
listening.
so it's, so,
Well, I have a wonderful half duplex for you that's just waiting for you to show Danny
yeah,
in the orchards.
with Southwest.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, yeah.
Just waiting for you to come through.
So Sam, that is one that we're.
Perfect. You and Sam should just do all your deals together.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So how would we define it? Just,
I mean,
How to manage timing?
yeah, to manage time frame to short windows.
Well, I hear two challenges within that same sentence. One, how can you manage your client's schedule properly to ensure that they understand there's urgency? And number two would be just market lack of inventory in a certain price range, even though there's
Yeah.
everything saying that there's tons of inventory and prices are crumbling through the world.
Well, and to just expand on that, and again, it's because I'm new, so maybe this isn't for the list, but you know, he gets a hold of me at 8:39 last night, and you know, apologizes. It's like no big deal. So we talked on the phone, and you know, he sends me these ones that he's found, and he's changed criteria all over. We were looking at acreages of, you know, and now we're looking at half duplexes, and so it's, you know, challenging that way. But so this is at 9:30 last night. So I was up really early. I'm looking at all the listings he gave me, 5 likes this morning, 6, and 3 out of the 5 are 10. And he's not really available during the day, and I'm fully booked today. So is it sort of unaccommodating or unreasonable that, you know, we're looking at these listings this morning and we're not going to tour any till tomorrow? Like, what's reasonable? Like, what's a reasonable expectation for a client's realtor when you have other bookings and meetings and stuff like that?
I think that's your challenge. Or how can you put your schedule around showings in a potentially hot market?
Right, so we're
Yeah.
talking this morning, we're texting this morning again, looking at these listings, and we've got showings tomorrow. But am I doing my client a disservice because it's the next day? Like, should I always be available same day? Like, how do you manage a
No.
schedule?
So that's a great thing. So
That's a good question.
That's a
You
great
did
question.
2 there. You had 2 good points there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm new to this, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
do that, but yeah, so I've only been doing this 5 months, so.
Yeah. You'll have many, 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 many more days of saying that I don't know how to do this. And that's
Exactly.
good. That's why you're here.
Michelle.
Managing the middle market, like people that have old homes that are not updated and then wanting full price is you either insult them or you do yourself some harm by telling them the truth about you're not gonna get what you want. So I guess it's managing the middle market is my biggest subject. So it's like the 5 to 850, they all seem to be 1990 houses that are not updated, that have poor floor plans, trying to sell in this market. And everybody wants brand new and white and updated.
I've had mostly just commission objections. And this year. And doesn't matter, and I'm not talking about just the kind where you say you squabbling over $1,000. I'm talking about commission so deep, like half. Or
That they
beyond,
think they
or
want it to
more
be.
than half.
Less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it
Okay.
for half, or the last one was my direct cost plus 500.
Bye-bye.
So, and that's not just one isolated instance, that was 3 back to back. Different
That they're
areas of the
debating
city,
about commission.
different relationships, and et cetera. I mean, so that signifies to me that people are really
Mhm,
struggling.
They're looking at it.
Yeah.
Seriously. So what commission? We could spend the whole day on commission.
I absolutely could.
We could. That's what this is all about. This whole season is about commission.
Joanne?
Sellers who want to overprice their listing because they know that inventory is low, but they're not being realistic with their pricing.
Mhm.
Even though you've provided them with all the comparables and talked to them about market stats and what's going on out there.
Pricing is one of the most important things to learn, no question. You're gonna like
Yeah.
this.
Back to you, Danny.
We're going to 3.
Why not?
Sure.
We got one more to make 10.
Oh, yeah, okay. From a technical perspective, I suppose, maybe it's a little piece of what you were talking about, Michelle, but more basic is just, sort of the market evaluation presentation. Like, I am confident in researching comps, and making adjustments, and I've done that type of thing in my career, similar capacities. But how do you use the system and, show it to them? Like, I'm printing off, sold listings and looking at, in the comps, and I'm doing some manual adjustments, and I'm reviewing all this with clients, and, we're figuring out list price and so on. No problem. How do you make it look shiny?
I'll show you how to do that. We have a very good way to do that. So that's pricing again. They're
Your
pricing.
presentation.
Well, learning how to present is like doing your listing presentation and
Yeah.
doing presentation. If we would have did our normal presentation today, that's one that we would have touched on. It always comes up. So
Okay.
it's like, I see about a 9.9 that it comes up about listing presentations and presentations, when you
Yeah.
do this. Little inside secret, the same things come up almost every time.
Huh.
But it's a great exercise because what you do by doing the exercise is you actually think of what are your challenges today,
Right.
in the market, right? So doing presentations and presenting, those two things they're separate, but they're together. And we'll touch on that.
We have 10. This one
Yeah.
pushes to 11.
Yeah, we can come together, and then what we do, if we rattle through them really fast, then we do it again, the exercise. So we'll bring them back in.
Was this kind of a snapshot, Alex? And then the idea is that's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is. Okay. So we take.
100%.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. No, that's what I figured.
Yep.
But still some value.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. When I saw this.
No different than taking Ben or Richard Robbins or anybody
Yeah.
that comes into town, and if it sits well with you guys, then you take a course, I mean,
Yeah.
or not.
Hey, Danny, I'm loving it.
Are you? Yeah, extra large. Only way to go.
We solved our problems at the same time.
That's good. And you lost the pepper on the way.
Yeah.
No, he's getting coffee.
Okay, so maybe Michelle, you have a great list. If you don't mind, we could use your list. And so Danny, what you're going to do, if you would please, is to read off one of your challenges, and then Michelle will either add to her list, the master list, or star beside of it if it's a duplicate.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we will start. So the first one for Team Awesome, the challenges that we feel that we are facing and that we are finding in today's market is, one is getting listing leads.
We got converting leads,
Oh.
first one of ours as well.
Okay.
Discovering leads. Basically.
Could be different than what.
Well, we also have the other two.
The second one that we have is, so with first time home buyers. That Jeff was finding the final approval process with financing. Taking some time where should be done in there, but then financing companies are needing appraisals.
Last minute.
last
Jeff
minute. So the third one is time management for just the whole business in general.
That's
So
a good one.
work-life balance, and then quote unquote wasting time with stupid people.
It's recording.
Yeah. The fourth one is trying to get both husband and wife or partner and partner for their checklist on their pre-buying presentation to see what are their needs, like needs analysis for in terms of the perfect house or the right fit for them, having them on the same page. Number 5 is explaining concisely that with the seller that they understand the importance of price adjustments when there has been no showings or interest. Number 6, when you are first speaking with someone with either the buyers or sellers agreements, that they aren't being walked into something that it's more than just, hey, I'm selling my services to you, but we're working more as a team than it's just
Getting them not to
Getting
block
them-
at buyers.
getting them not
To fear it.
to fear the buyer or listing agreement.
Buyer's contract.
And then number 7 is what we would call Pop-Tart real estate, where you meet new people and you might go them once in a location in Beaumont and never see them again. So how do you keep those clients afterwards interested and intrigued in their process together with you? I mean,
Well, some of it is Pop-Tart real estate, right? Like, when I first started out, Brian, the broker at the time, said, "Hey, you're Pop-Tart broker." And I laughed, I says, "Well, what do you mean by that?" "I've seen you go out the door here, I heard you on the phone, you're out the door and you go see one, and they're just usually like a Pop-Tart." But I says, "Yeah, but Brian, every house that I show, and every client that I show," I said, "starting out with the learning experience." And then I sit back and I go, what did I could have done better? What went good? What went bad? Right? But I found after a while, I found myself like, it's like, holy shit, I'm driving a lot of miles and getting nothing to do.
Popping
Right,
up as
so-
soon as he gets a lead.
Yeah, so then it's kind of like, okay, you gotta dissect these leads a little better, right? Ask more questions.
So those interactions are sweet, but not.
sweet but not filling.
Not healthy for you. It's satisfying.
He was green the whole time. It's I'm talking to Jeff, I have my response.
That was awesome. Okay, so very quick, just for me, how long have you been in the business?
3 years.
Beautiful. 3 days.
Oh,
2 years.
Excellent.
5 is a licensed realtor, but I used to be.
Okay, beautiful. 6 months, 5 months.
5 months. Yeah.
Michelle, 18 days, years? Six.
When?
Joanne,
17 years.
that's all?
Bob,
Just coming on a year here.
just over here.
Just over a year? Okay,
Yeah.
welcome, Bob. Okay, good. So now, Michelle, what we're gonna do is the duplications that you have. So now they went over their list. So what we're gonna get you now, Michelle, to go over your list and just read it over slowly so that they hear what your challenges are. And then from that, we're gonna pick the ones that we think is the one that we think is the most important. And then we're gonna work through, chances are we'll get through them all.
Need 2 more though.
Well, we
I-
failed at that because we
Oh,
started
okay.
solving.
Yeah, I was very bad at adding. I thought 7 was 10.
We're not as challenged.
No big, or cereal real estate.
Okay, so I guess, well, discovering leads is, you guys have listing leads, but discovering leads, I think is a little different.
Yeah.
And, technology, how to work through the new market with technology, with new videos, with, you know, all these young kids coming in and doing Instagram and Facebook and me trying to get through there. So that was ours for technology. Market tension. So, you know, that's basically trying to deal with people in the market wanting to sell, but then realizing they probably don't know if they can buy or not. What's out there? It's just the market's changed a bit. We had financing, we did finance. Scheduling in a hot market, so your clients knowing the urgency
And you're available.
and your availability. Managing the middle market, so you have from 5 to 800 that are houses in the 90s that aren't updated. They want the same price, so it's different for the middle market than it's ever had. Commission objections, people asking you to reduce your commissions substantially. Seen that a long time. Sellers overpricing and how do you deal with it? And better presentation. And with that, learning. So, and learning and listening presentation, how to make them better.
Excellent. Okay, so out of that group now, from your guys' group, Group A and Group B, Danny, you right?
No.
Bobby, I'm sorry, Bob. Bob, you're gonna be on Group A, just so you know, for fun.
We're awesome.
You're awesome, just so we continue to put you onto a team. So in saying that, what we're looking for is which one of those 17 or 18, whatever we have there, did you guys hear, do you think is the most important right now? We'll probably cover them all, but what do you think is the most important?
Older realtors, the technology is key.
Yeah.
But younger seems to be, they have all the technology, but maybe not some of the skills that we learned over. You know?
Well, it's not always the age, first of all, because like Owen that was just here, he told me just when we were visiting before he had to leave, that technology for him is a challenge, actually. So it's very interesting. It's not always age, right? It's just your ability and your desire to jump in and figure it out, bottom line, right? So the technology kind of handles on two things at once, sort of like the same one as far as the videoing, creating videos and doing video marketing, right? So there's two ways I believe to handle that situation. Is the way I personally did it is I paid somebody. Because you're either going to do it yourself, and I was talking this morning to Vince, the #1 realtor for Remax here in Edmonton, one of my students from many years ago, and I was talking to him on the way in this morning. It was very interesting to hear his analogy of exactly what we were talking about. Just I only bring up Vince's name because we were talking about this exact subject, so it's kind of interesting. So he was saying about the technology, and he was saying about videos, and he was saying about that in his market today, he was on Facebook, he did 120 deals. And so, but virtually nothing that he does is to do with video now. He's doing as far as what the young guns, he's young, he's only maybe 35 years old. At the most, he'd be 35. And is not using any of that or taking advantage of any of that. And so it doesn't mean that we have to do it today to be successful, but it does mean that if we do it, we'll get there quicker. These guys are very familiar with one guy that we have that's one of our coaches, Tony Broughton. He's from Gibson's, British Columbia, and he probably does this the best of anybody that I know, or anybody that's, if you want to look him up, name is Tony Broughton, Broughton, and he does video very well, and he gets all kinds of neat things that he gets free traffic on. As an example, something that all of you could do. He does every year an April Fool's joke. Okay. And it's a big thing. When he first started it, it was just it was really a cool one that he did. Everybody know where Gibson is? Gibson's, it's the peninsula, it's not an island. Don't go there and call it an island. I made that mistake.
Is
They
it where
get-
beach covers?
They get, yeah, that's right. They get just right crazy when you call it an island. So, but anyway, so what he did is he put up a big, huge billboard saying that they wanted to promote the local area more, and they were going to be putting up a 100-foot by 200-foot TV screen floating on a barge. And he put that out as if that was going to happen as far as marketing. And he got the local TV guys to come in and put it on TV and everything. And the people went totally nuts, like off the deep end crazy. You can't put that in our bar, can't put that in our bay and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, it was April Fool's, right? So he's done many really interesting ideas, and he's got them all on YouTube. You can go there and watch, but it's a really smart thing to get free publicity. To think about it in advance, right? Because if you do it right, it really sparks people's discussion, right? His Facebook, his YouTube, everything, Instagram, everything at this time of the year just explodes because people are after him. What are you doing this year? What are you doing this year? Now they're chasing him for it before it comes out. So that's the kind of stuff that is very easy for us to do and easy for us to set up. We just got to think of it, right? When you're in Kelowna, as an example, years ago, I remember that the city did it to everybody. And the city went and they said that they're closing down the brand new swimming pool that they had just built the year before because it's sinking into the pond. And they had the engineer out there and measured it and everything and made it, so I just bring these ideas up as ideas is that for you to be thinking outside of the box, to be able to come up with something that will make you stand out with very little expense and very little headache to yourself, right? So when it comes to the marketing, as far as YouTube and whatnot like that for myself, building your YouTube channels and doing all of that, I would rather pay somebody to do that. Okay, well, we have a guy, there's many guys out there, but I have a guy named Tejas that does it for us and does it for people. Then, all you have to do is he'll lay it all out for you and you just have to do the video. So turn your phone around, put it toward yourself and do a video, and then he'll market it for you and do the rest for you that way. So either do it yourself or you pay somebody. Is kind of the bottom line as far as that goes. Doesn't cost that much, but at least you get it into the market, right? And what's that going to give you? It's going to give you exposure is really all it's going to give you at first. Over time, it will pay. Just like years ago, for those of us that have been in it 18 years and then 20 years, we did farming as far as for flyers and whatnot. Same thing. It won't pay you right away. But if you do it consistently for a long time period, it will pay and pay well if you do that sort of stuff. So that's marketing just touching on marketing slightly in a couple different areas. So I hope that helps as far as the 1 point goes. Next.
I was thinking technology was more of the apps and things like that. I mean,
Okay.
that's more social media to market.
Mhm.
Yes, no?
Well,
When you guys
again,
were talking about technology, what part were you talking about?
All of it, I
Okay.
guess, encompasses everywhere that you can get, right? So.
When I heard you say technology, I was thinking actually social media and more technical stuff like KB core.
Showing time.
Trying to-
I found that when I've interacted, like I've had some clients that did not want any. And when I went back and they see that they have to go to some they go to sign the changes and come back. I got more referrals than I did the one that did that. Because each time we sat there, we didn't discuss just business. We discussed other things other than just business. So, and it was like more building that relationship where I find technology. It's like that, just if you have any problems with that, or you give them a phone call, say, hey, that's in your inbox. It's like this, but it's not that face-to-face feel. So, it's like I tracked it and I got more referrals out of those ones that I sat there across the table from more times than once talking with them and then taking the time that the paperwork part of spending, 2 minutes, even a minute talking about.
I think
Just
each
like-
client is different, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
young
they are.
kids, Like I find,
Yeah.
I don't, it sucks. But absolutely, you can fill them out with what you want.
So I can tailgate into what you're saying there. You could write it down if you want to. National Association of Realtors, or NAR, for everybody, if you don't know who
Sorry.
NAR is.
Sorry, 1 second. Mayor,
Yep.
you can hear the discussion now, right?
Now I can hear the moderator, but I couldn't hear what you guys were saying at all. I don't know if the other people, I think, yeah, they're, Joanne's agreeing. I have no clue what you guys said. And that
I
whole
can hear bits and
discussion.
pieces of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I was trying to do this.
I was doing the same thing.
I have my volume full, but I couldn't hear a word of what you were saying.
Well,
I hope I didn't miss anything important.
Everything's important, Mayor.
I know that.
Try to get these guys to talk a little louder.
yeah, so
Okay, so they were just to do a recap as far as what Jeff said there was that it's really important to be able to decide what side of your client you're going to go on, whether you're going to use the technology as far as like DocuSign, as that is an example, or you're going to go belly to belly and sit in front of them and actually do the presentation back and forth. Doesn't matter whether it's a listing presentation or it's an offer to purchase or whatever it is, there's obviously those two ways to do it, okay? So now for National Association of Realtors, or NAR, is just to clarify for everybody what that is. Anybody not know what NAR is? Okay, good. Okay, so NAR is like in Canada, we have CREA, Canadian Real Estate Association. NAR is the same as CREA in the United States. And so the power behind NAR is that they have more members and they have more money, so they do more research. So I give a lot of stats that come from NAR that obviously directly reflect to us. They have 300 million people. They have 2 million real estate agents. We have, 35, 37 million, and we have 100,000 agents. It's very similar to the carryover. Now, of course, the rules are slightly different, but the stats are similar. So the stat that we'll get to, and to explain that, and because I touch on that more with NAR as we go along, is today, as an example, 17% of buyers or sellers, when they go to do their next transaction, they use the same real estate agent. Anybody like that stat? No, think of it again. 17% use the same agent, okay? Do you want to know why that is in comparison to 20 years ago when I was very active in the market, and even up when I sold my last house in 2009, is because people stopped doing what Jeff said. That is one of the number one major reasons why that stat is what it is that we don't get to know our customers. The customers don't get to know us. And if you want more referrals, which is free money, in my opinion, it's one of the most important marketing tools that we have as far as to be successful in the business, is to get that free money, is to get to know those people. And to get to know those people, we need to be belly to belly with them, or we need to do more than just talk to them on the phone and send it over by DocuSign, okay? If you want your business to go up faster, and back to Vince again, Vince took that to heart when I taught him that 8 years ago, and still does it all as much as he possibly can. We talked about that this morning too, doing appointments in belly belly and getting right into people's homes and sitting with them. And just like Jeff just said, I commend you highly for that. That's very, very smart as far as to get more business quicker for free. It's a real fun thing when people phone you up and say, just come list my house. How you're going to get that is when they know you and they trust you and they respect you. Okay. Now, another NAR stat that tailgates right on with what we're saying is this. So I'll ask you as a question, then I'll give you the answer. If you do a really good job with a client, doesn't matter what client it is, but one, buyer or seller, over the duration of that client and you working together, how many deals do you think you should get from that first person if you do everything right? Carried forward. Anybody? Quick answer? Online? A thought? You can put up your hand. A number?
5 to 10.
5, Michelle says? Okay, cool. Yeah. Anybody else? A thought? A guess? No? Okay. 7 is the right number. Okay. So 7 transactions. If you do the first presentation and deal correctly, you should get 7 deals. Okay. So now we're going to use Danny as an example, brand new realtor in the business. If Danny goes out and does 20 deals this year and does a really good job on those 20 deals, gets to know those people over the next duration of 10 or 20 years, you're going to be in the business. That's going to net you how many deals?
140.
140 deals. Yeah. Good or bad?
Pretty good.
Pretty good, right? Are you going to get that by sending them DocuSign? Not a chance. Okay, so, and why? Because they don't know you. They don't know you. They won't know you and they don't know you because, and I realize and I understand on the younger generation, remember Vince, 35 years old, and he's selling houses to people his age, 35 years old, and getting in front of them and getting to know them and sitting with them. Okay, so.
I do think though that it's not black and white. I think that a lot of clients, once you know them and you have a rapport, a lot of them with the speed that life moves, they appreciate the DocuSign and you know what? And then you take them out for lunch a week later. Like, you know, I get you gotta have a personal relationship with your clients, but the sheer aspect of signing documents in person versus DocuSign, I mean, that's not the only way to build the relationship, right? That's all I'm saying.
Very true. Very
But
true.
then you're right,
Yeah.
there. It's reading it, right?
Yeah.
Getting what they're more comfortable.
Which hopefully, that basically will lead us into one of the points. One of the other points, which is doing presentations and presenting, right? Was one of the points that we had. And the reason that you do that is exactly what Danny just said, is that by doing presentations, we have the opportunity now to get to know them more or less. More.
Or
By doing a presentation. So at the end of the day, whether you're doing a presentation as we are today, hybrid through Zoom and live, you can do it through Zoom. You can still look at their faces. You can still see their eyes. You can still interact with them far better than doing an over the phone like we did many years ago before Zoom. Okay. So now, is the power of doing a presentation important? As a question. Yes. Okay. Do we use a presentation on a regular basis in the audience or in the Zoom? Do you guys use a presentation
yes,
for buyers or for sellers or both? Curiosity.
both.
Both. Okay.
Just sellers.
Just sellers.
I don't do the buyers one. I never did.
Okay. Cool. Would you like to change that?
I have one because I have customized the Richard Robbins one. And so I got both of them when I went to the first seminar of his. I've never needed a buyer's one. Like buyers have just gone with me. Like I've never, this sounds really stupid, but I've never I've never needed a presentation, like a buyer's presentation. Like we sit down and we discuss, what obligations are. Sellers, I feel it's really important.
Right.
Seller's presentation, because typically I find that they're typically interviewing. A seller would be more likely to interview more than one person, right, to be their agent than a buyer does.
Mhm. Well, another NAR stat is 90% of buyers that do business do it with the first realtor they meet. However, or wherever they meet them. So now back to the presentation. So the power of doing a buyer's presentation, we'll start there. And then of course, we'll go to the listing presentation. The power of doing a buyer's presentation is obviously to ultimately get a buyer's contract signed. So now it stems back to the percentage of people that are actually getting buyer's contract signed, which of course is another whole discussion within itself. And okay, so just for fun, buyer's contract, yes or no? Lori?
Not right away.
Yeah.
But in time, yes.
In time, meaning how far down the line? Curiosity.
Depends. Sometimes I'll show them 2, 3, 4 properties.
Right.
And then we'll do.
Okay. But so then my understanding is right that you get them to sign a buyer's contract all the time?
If they're going
Well,
to
it's by
transact.
law. It's by law in Alberta.
Yeah. So they have to do it in how far down the line technically, because I'm looking at the legal side
To
now.
transact.
Technically, it should be before the showing even occurs.
Okay. Says the agency.
Yes.
Okay, good. Because we want to be clear that that is, in my mind, that's wrong, but I'm
Yeah.
asking that it's wrong because of the legal side. Okay. Okay, good. So now to get it signed, now are we talking also, just for clarity, agency or still a buyer's contract? Because that obviously can be two different things.
It's agency.
Agency, okay. So then is there now, for clarity, is there agency and buyer's brokerage signed, or once they sign
Right.
agency, then they have a contract with them?
That's the contract.
Okay, and so then in the agency agreement, they'll put a time frame in there for how long they're gonna work together and how much they're gonna get paid in
Right.
that agreement, yes?
Right.
Okay, cool, that's good. And obviously to go through all the ins and outs of agency during that time. Okay, perfect. So then now that you are filling out the form and you're gonna get that signed sometime in the near future of you actually getting out and showing them houses, are you putting a price in there of how much you're gonna get paid?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and how much you deserve and how much you have to put it in?
There's two different versions, a non-exclusive and an exclusive, and exclusive has
Has a fee.
a fee.
Okay? And the fee that you put in, that's what you're going to stand by to get, yes? Because that's what you deserve your worth, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so now taking that to the next step is, what percentage of the transactions that you do you get that fee? Or back to Steve's question, which we'll get to in a minute, is do you end up negotiating that fee on a buyer's side? Jeff
There's
says
a few
no.
times, but more, less than.
Okay, good. Okay, so then when you're gonna go through to get that actually contract signed, the advantage of doing an actual presentation to them is exactly the same advantage that you have when you do a presentation to a listing. I'm sorry, gang, I'm looking at you, but I'm not looking at you because you're obviously looking down there. So on the screen, just so you know, we're trying to include you. So when you go through with a buyer and you actually sit down and you go through an actual full presentation, what you're going to do there, the reason that you're going to do that is again, because as Danny said, you want to build rapport and you want to build confidence with them that they're happy with you and that they're going to stick with you. One of the reasons that we have trouble with agency, and which of course it happens from time to time, that's a good question. How often do you have to break those contracts for the customer?
No clue. But you want to present from over there?
I
'Cause
could.
then that way everyone actually is seeing you.
What about the mic?
Well, I talk pretty
He
loud.
talks loud enough that they'll be able to hear.
I talk pretty loud, I would think. Well, let's see. Can you guys hear me still?
Yep.
Okay, good. So now when we look at it as far as for doing a presentation, back to the question, do very many of them come into be a problem as far as the not getting paid the fee? Or that you have to cancel them?
No, usually we make the amendment that, like, for an example, if there's one cooperating commission or our fee is 3.5, 1.5, and cooperating fee is advertised as 3 and 1.5, we'll do an amendment and say for this building, for this specific property, and we'll write that in the amendment that we will reduce the brokerage fee to X.
Okay.
And then it's signed and sent in. So we're not really breaking the buyer agreement. We're dealing with that per contract.
For that
specific
For that specific one, yeah.
For that.
For that particular
thing.
Okay, good.
But in our buyer's agreement, our fee is
3.5, 1.5.
mentioned in the buyer's fee
Okay, perfect.
agreement.
So the advantage of doing an actual buyer's presentation is to be able to have your, if you think of the advantages in a listing presentation, so maybe we'll go to that and it'll come back to this. So what is the advantages of you doing a listing presentation? We'll just go around very quickly. Yeah, what's one advantage of you doing a listing presentation?
But it's one, they get to know you personally because you're there presenting it.
Yeah.
2 is they see what you have to offer in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And I don't know, third is,
Or if they're,
There's several, obviously.
they're after commission reduction or whatever. They'll interview a few, we just.
If that's what they want,
If that's.
if the commission is the thing, yeah, okay,
we'll
good.
clear that up quick.
Michelle, anything else?
Yeah, terms and conditions is all presented right then and there, and it's, if you've got to negotiate, you deal with it right then and there.
Perfect, yeah, okay, good.
I also think it's important to walk them through the process of selling the house, which is just gives them an understanding of and lays out some of the expectations in terms of the relationship and what you're going to do for them.
Very good, Bob. That's the same thing for in the buyer's presentation too. Very good. Steve, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think when you go through a presentation, you're defining and talking about a process from here to here. You're also demonstrating your value and you're talking about your value.
and also what you kind of expect from them.
Thank
They're
you.
very much that side of the dialogue occurs without. a
Very,
doubt.
very important to be putting the onus on the customer as to what the customer is going to do to help to make this process go cleanly as far as for it to sell, right? If you just leave the customer out of it, you just, dump everything that you're going to dump and now get them involved. you'll do a presentation and the only thing you're gonna feel is a screen door hitting your butt when you leave. Because you haven't got interaction, right? For yourselves. For myself, you know, carrying 50 to 70 listings all the time. I did many listing presentations. Very good at this particular, what we're doing right now, what we're talking about right now. So now, also, what else? Anything else from the online gang? As far as the reason that you do an actual listing presentation?
It's really important to spend the time building the rapport, asking them questions, so that you have a good idea as to what their expectations are.
Right.
And what they need to get from dealing with you.
Okay, we're still missing the most, one of the most important one, if not the most important.
I think you wanna develop for them the perception of your capabilities and give them the confidence in the thoroughness, the due diligence, you know. I mean, I'm new to this, but I think the objective is to list a property for the right price and market it appropriately to sell quickly. I mean, I think that's what a realtor's gotta do for their client.
Price is very important, Steve.
To actually get the listing and to ask for the business.
Very important, yeah. So price and ask for the order, yes? So in a presentation, when you're doing a presentation, how often should you be asking for the order? Once at the very end of the presentation, hypothetically, like, will you work with me, just using it as a fast close?
Yeah, about 3 times in the presentation, it will occur about 3 times.
At least 3 times minimum in the presentation, you should be asking for the order. And why do you have to ask for it 3 times? Because if you don't, what ends up happening, and you present, and now we get to the end, then you ask for the order. At that point in time, they have already shut off if you're not working with them, or they're not buying into you, and you haven't caught it yet because you haven't asked. So if you ask the business as you go along, and they'll say, no, I'm sorry, what challenges can come up? 1 or 2 or 3 or a whole bunch, yes?
Yeah.
If you don't find out what those challenges are, and then all of a sudden they give them all to you at the end, it's too late. You need to solve those as you go along in a good presentation, right?
So give me an example of an asking for the order statement.
Okay. As an example, in the presentation that we have that we would present and go through, it's a whole different class than today, but I have some time. We could do it today too if you wanted. But at the end of the day, at the very beginning of the presentation, within the first 2 minutes, I'm going to ask them, are they familiar with the expired list? And they're going to say no. And I'm going to say, well, you wouldn't want to end up on that list, would you? Because I'm going to explain obviously what the expired list is, right? So now I've asked for the order very slightly and lightly, but I still ask for it. How come? Because I asked them that you don't want to end up on that list, do you? So I've slowly started to pull them, yes? So there's 2 different ways to present. Number 1 is you push them over the cliff, or you pull them to the water and let them drink. Pushing is aggressive and harsh, and of course I don't believe in that, and we don't have to teach that way, because you don't have to, right? We can show you how to lead people to the right destination rather than push them to the right destination. So that's one. Now another one that will happen is as far as a question goes. So there's a few different stages within a good presentation that's very valuable. So first of all, obviously, I'll just run through it. The first thing that you're going to do is small talk smart. So what that means is you get to the kitchen table, or you go on Zoom, wherever you're going to do your presentation, but you talk to them about anything except what?
Real estate.
Real estate. Why? Okay, it's no different than here. When I'm standing there at the beginning of this day and you guys walk in, even though this is your environment, you're looking like, okay, I think I know who you are and I think I know why you're here, but it's not as calm. Would everybody agree? No different than when you come into somebody's house and you sit at their table, they're calm because it's their house, but they also know you came there for something, which is what? A signature, right? You didn't come there for tea and crumpets. You came there to do business. So they're a little bit nervous. So we need to let that calm down. So that's called small talk smart. We want to talk about anything except real estate for a short little while. Now, how do we know that it's time to talk about real estate? Anybody? Thoughts? Anybody? Body language. It's a whole different art. It's a whole different class. We could spend a whole day on it. But it's the art of being able to look at somebody and know that they're comfortable with what you're talking about, and they're buying into what you're talking about. Would everybody agree? How important is that? In the art of sales, it's very, very, very important, right? It's one of the most important things of a successful salesperson to a weak salesperson, that they actually understand that. So how do we know that it's time to get going? They're going to go, they're going to talk a little slower. They're going to be a little more relaxed. They're going to ask you, would you like a tea? Would you like a coffee? And you're, yeah, okay, great. Now we're going to talk about hockey or whatever you want to talk about. And then finally their shoulders are going to drop and they're going to like, oh, kind of like you. That's when you can start business. Yes. Not until then do you start business. They will say, okay, let's get going. Or you will eventually ask, well, we've been here for a while now, and if you don't mind, I'd like to get started. Okay, great. So now you're going to get started. You're going to go to your presentation. So now during your presentation, the setup is to be able to do a polka, it's called, is to give a quick introduction of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it throughout the whole presentation. So what areas should you cover off on in a good presentation to help have them list with you in your presentation? What areas? Richard Robbins' presentation, Curiosity, said use it all the time. What do you cover in there that is for them to buy into you, and anything else?
There's quite a few. I mean, it starts off kind of acting near the end. It's more of an introduction of who I am, like, you know, my background, but it covers everything really. It's you know, what most of it is like what I'm going to give to them, like why a breakdown of my role and my obligations to them and what I'm going to provide to them. It's quite a lengthy one. I've shortened it. I have a long one and a short one because I find older people, I deal with a lot of seniors. They like to read stuff. So, you know, when I print, because I print it out and I bring it with me and they like to go through it. Younger people just want to get to the point. So I've shortened it and it's just kind of like, this is what, you know, this is what we're going to do. But with the presentation, of course, I've brought comps and I've brought, you know, community information and all that kind of stuff. But it's quite detailed. It's a really good, I've been using it for the 9 years I've been selling.
Okay.
And it's just, I don't often lose a listing. I deal more with buyers, but I don't often, and it's, you know, people like it. They like to have something in their hands. They like to read. They like colorful. And then near the end, and there's all kinds of stuff. There's worksheets for them to work out their equity and, you know, and that kind of stuff near the end, but mostly it's about what I'm going to provide to them and how the market works now, especially with seniors. They haven't sold their home for 40 years. They don't know how it works. So I go into that in great detail with the seniors.
So thank you for that. So there's 3 areas that you want to cover off on, if you want to write them down, that you need to have in a presentation that will make the difference between you having a successful presentation or not. The 3 areas are your company, your marketing plan, and you. Obviously you, the real estate agent.
Yeah, it covers all those 3.
Those 3 areas have to be gone through and demonstrated and explained. Now, of course, you have to learn. Now, going back to Danny's question about earlier about presenting and knowing when to present and what to present is obviously very valuable. As an example, Maxwell, you come to my house and I've done 6 transactions with Maxwell Realty, Devonshire. Do I need to spend much time explaining Maxwell, Devonshire? No, very little, right? Because they're comfortable, or otherwise it wouldn't keep coming back, yes, to the same company. So, but on the opposite of that, if there's something new that happened, as an example, they acquired new offices or something like that had happened, we want to say, well, congratulations to our new owner, and our owner has just bought a new office or whatever, is something new that has happened in your franchise. Then you're going to touch base on that and expand. As an example, if you went from Maxwell now to have a franchise in Ontario, hypothetically, or in PEI, hypothetically, that might be something that you'd want to bring up. Why? Because that is a good opportunity to bring you more, help me, referrals, but more importantly, buyers, right? The more realtors that you have in the pool that work in your franchise throughout all of your franchise, does that increase the capability of people coming to your front door of the seller? Okay, so we need to explain that. We need to lay that all out, yes? So there's hundreds of realtors. How many, curiosity, Alex, in Maxwell now as far as all the whole Maxwell itself, total realtors?
Over 1,000.
Over 1,000. Okay, so you have 1,000 realtors on. Does anybody explain that way? Curiosity. In your presentation? If you do, great, right?
Access to thousand realtors right off the bat.
Right. And so we need to understand how powerful that is, right? Because even though some of the other big franchises that are out there, I promise you, I teach and train for all of them. They do not exploit the power that they have. Why? Because they don't know. This is an exercise that Alex could do with you guys later. Similar exercise that we're doing right now, but it's a good exercise. Divide into 2 groups. And then tell yourselves, or tell me, which ultimately will be telling Alex, why should somebody list with Maxwell Devonshire? I promise you, it's going to scare you how short that list is when you do this exercise. I've done this all across North America with all brands there is, with small companies, small groups like this and big groups. And the list is short and it's scary. Why? Because what does that prove? It proves that you don't know your franchise. It proves you don't know what you're selling. You're working here for a reason, and we got to get better at that. Not picking on anybody, obviously, but it's a really important part of what you do. And it's a really important part of what you're selling to the customer to get them to buy you. Okay. So good exercise for you guys to do. I promise it will drive home the point for them and help them immensely during that presentation time. Okay, so that is your company. Now your company, obviously in your case, goes from the franchise, big franchise, to your local brand, yes or no? Which is of course this office, right? And then all the offices that are connected to this office. And then it comes down to who? You, yes? That's the 3 areas that you personally have today that you can work on within your company. Now, within your marketing plan, when you go into your marketing plan, obviously everybody has a similar type of things that we can do or we will do. Would you agree? Professional photography and all these similar things that you're going to do as far as marketing goes. Same exercise, Alex, for you as another office exercise is what do we do as far as marketing? And then more importantly, what do we do different at Maxwell compared to everybody else? That's really important to find that out, whatever that is. Why is it important? Curiosity. Curiosity. Any idea why that's important? No. Okay, so this is why. Is because when you go to present now, and if you have a strong presenter from another company that has just come in and did an actual presentation, which we'll talk more about is what we're going through right now, do an actual presentation, and they present on marketing, but they present on the uniqueness of what they do as a company that you don't do as a company, who stands out stronger? They do in that example, right? So we obviously want to turn that around the other way around, and we want to be able to say, here's the things that we do that is specific and important to us and our team here at Maxwell and our brand. All right.
But that's presuming we know what everybody else does.
Well, you should.
Well, I have no idea what other people do. We don't have a balloon.
Well, the reason that you will know or you could know is ask Alex, because he knows. Because when he interviews all the other agents that are out there today to recruit them in here, they tell him what they're doing, what they're not doing, why they're coming here, why they want to come here, why they're leaving here.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily the marketing of a property.
Well, it is to a large degree, yes, it is. Because the uniqueness, the uniqueness is what you're looking for there, as what can you do and what is unique to you. So,
Well, I think that the Move Snap is probably one of the most unique things that our brokerage has, right? Rather than others, right? Alex?
Yes.
Which I personally, that's one of the things that I talk about when I'm talking about the Maxwell part of it. Because, I do the, we're the fastest growing in Western Canada, blah, 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 and all that. And then I go right into the support of the realtors, which makes us better realtors. That's the second thing I go to. And then I go into the cool features and I talk to them about Move Snap, because that does, Remax doesn't, I was with Remax for 7 years. Remax doesn't offer that. Like Move Snap to me is one of the neatest unique things that a brokerage, and people's eyes like like they light up, like oh, wow, like what is this? And so personally, I think that is, it's like in an open house when you're trying to discuss the easiest thing to talk to them about is the search program. Well, when the listing presentation, if we're trying to differentiate Maxwell after you've given them like the history and all that, is MooseNet.
Very good.
Thank you for
bringing that up.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're
Please-
welcome.
Please go on more listing appointments and spread the word.
And what you just did there is exactly what I was trying to portray, is that you have to try to find what are the uniquenesses for your brand. Now, the last one of the three, obviously, is you personally. What do you do that is unique in a presentation? What do you do that is unique as far as for selling a property? And so we need to be able to demonstrate what is it that I do that stands out comparison to other people, okay? So do you want to find out what other people do? Give yourself a huge treat and phone the top 10 agents that you know of in your market here and go for coffee with them and ask them what they do. All the top producers that I've ever met in all my career in the 20 some years I've been doing this, selling real estate, if I ask them, what do you do? They all will tell you. None of them will hold it back. And there's a reason for that. Anybody want to know why? True, but why else?
They know you won't do it.
They know you won't do it. That's the key. They know for a fact that you won't do what they tell you to do anyways. So we can just tell you and nobody cares, right? But here's the thing. If you're really good and really smart, beginning of your career, and you want to rock and roll a lot faster than everybody else, take that 10 interviews, compile all that information, and now put together a list and an action plan that you believe is the right for who? You, right?
Yeah.
It's the things that each one of those people do, you won't do. You say, no, I'm not going to do that. Not prepared to do that. But I really like this idea, whatever that is, right? Compile that. Go ask, have coffee with those guys. You don't have to buy them lunch. That costs $30. Buy them coffee, it costs you $5. So if you're looking at net profit when you first start, it costs a little bit of money when you first start to be in this business. Coffee's cheaper, okay? They don't care. So you find out what are the uniquenesses that you have for yourself personally, okay? So that's the three areas that we're going to cover off on in the presentation. Now, also, as you go further down into the presentation itself, now when we ask the question, this is another closing question, the second one that we're going to give, is what would it take to get you to list your home with me today? Now, when you ask that question, we have to have the guts to look right in Danny's eyes and say, Danny, what would it take to get you to list your home with me today? If we could solve that, would you listen? Okay, good. Bang. Everybody like that? Yes. Okay. Now, but we're not done yet at that point. That's like in the first 15 minutes of the presentation, we've asked for the order. We've asked for that level of commitment. Yes. At that point in time, though, if Danny wanted to be, we call it tough Danny, he could have came up with 5 or 6 of things to say, well, I might list with you except for this and this and this and this and this and this. Yes. Now we have to handle all those things eventually. Would you agree? Do we handle it in the first 20 minutes? The answer is no. Reason for that is that we have lots of information we're going to present yet as we go forward from there. And some of the challenges that we have been given will disappear because we showed what? Starts with V and ends with
Value.
value. Yes, because we've showed them value. By showing them value, they will buy into us, and some of those challenges will disappear. Okay, so now moving on, we're going to get to another thing that we have on our list. It's really soon. That's really important. It's all part of the presentation, which is called price. How important is price in the presentation? A little or a lot?
A lot.
No doubt about it. Yes. Okay.
List price or
Yeah.
our commission?
It's both, either way. But if you do the presentation right, the commission won't be a problem. Why? What did you just say? Value, right? If they sense, feel, and believe that you're worth the value, they'll pay you every time. Yes. On the opposite, if they sense, feel that you are weak and they can hammer you down, what will they do? Hammer you down. Yes. So your presentation is so critically important as you move forward. So now, as we go to our next step, as far as just before price, we're going to ask them this question. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, assuming that you're okay with my marketing plan and me, and we could agree on a price, would you list your home with me today? So, sorry,
Maybe.
Laurie says maybe. Excellent. Thank you for that. Okay, so now, which is fantastic. And so then, of course, I would continue and we could do this for like 6 hours and I won't get stumped. But here's the deal, is that when you look at it as far as that question, the key that we're asking that question for is we want them again to what? Buy into us before we give them the price, yes? Because if you just give them the price, what happens to their body language and their mind and everything else? Right? So we need them to buy into us before we give them that price, yes? Now, if they say, okay, yes, we would list with you, except for we're going to interview another agent, or I want a lower commission, or I want to buy one before I sell, or I'm going to go for sale by owner, or all the different things. There's only like 10 objections in the whole industry that we need to master. So we're not going to do all those today, but if we did master all of those 10, we can solve all of those before we go to price. Okay? Then, now, price. Price is very subjective, would we agree? Okay? To how we present it, number one, and to who's actually giving you the price, who would agree? Okay? Now, as far as price goes, today, for one of your more experienced realtors, John, are you okay? To be our leader in this? Okay, so when you look at price today, and if you were coming to my house to present a price on a listing for me, I'll run through it and you just agree. It's faster that way, okay? So normally what an experienced realtor today would do is they would come with some comparables, 3 or 4 or 5 comparables of hopefully the actives, hopefully the solds, and hopefully the expireds. And a lot of times people don't bring expireds, but that's a big mistake, okay? But we're going to cover off on those 3 areas when we do our pricing presentation. Now, most professional realtors today that do price, they present it, meaning that they have diarized that information in their minds. They have highlighted, they've circled, they've done their research on it. As far as Danny said earlier, it's really bad that he's missing this now, or you are there, good, okay? Is this is very important as far as price goes. We have done a bunch of research to justify what we think is the right price. Would we agree? Okay, good. Now, when we present that price, at the end, do we come up with a number that we say, okay, as far as I'm concerned, me the realtor, that it is going to be this price for you to put your house on the market for, and this price is what it should sell for?
Yes.
True or false? True or false? Okay, true or false?
Sure.
True or false?
Yeah,
Alex?
yeah.
Yes?
just keep on. Yeah.
Okay, so 9 or 9.9 realtors do it that way, okay? So for myself, when I was losing against very top producing real estate agents in my market, I had 2 other agents that were doing 100 deals a year. So we had to do things right or we got beat. And so I was getting beat and I didn't want to get beat anymore. So I had to come up with, or wanted to come up with something different that helped me to pick the price as a team with the buyer or the seller, okay? Because here's the key, I believe. As human beings, do we like being told how things should go?
No.
Correct, okay? We don't like being told. So therefore, when we're sitting at the listing presentation, and Michelle has just went through all that with us and told me this and told me this and told me this and told me this, and then I get to the conclusion, which is probably right. What do they say?
Well, they say, whatever you suggest, we'll go.
Whatever you suggest, that's a very nice seller.
Yeah.
Very, thank you. That's a very nice seller. Most of them are not that way. They're going to fight you on it. How come? Because you have kind of almost drove it down their throat. Does everybody agree? Just the way it's presented, there's nothing wrong with it, but it is wrong. But that's the way it's presented, because you're giving them information saying this is what should happen. People don't like that. Okay, so let's turn it around. So when I lost, I said I got to do it differently. So I turned it around, and by turning it around, you do this. Will help you immensely in getting more listings signed quicker at the right, help me. Well, how important is that? Okay, whether they sell or they don't, usually is the difference, yes? Whether we get paid or we don't, usually is the difference. Okay, so now take that same example of all that information you compiled, take that same information to the table when you're sitting with them and just present it differently, okay? So this is what we're going to do, or I'd like to see you do. Is, oh, we forgot to ask if we're gonna order pizza. Done. Oh, okay, Steve ordered, good, thanks, Steve. So now, take those same 5 actives hypothetically that we have put together that we brought with us, yes? And so now we're gonna say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what we'd like to do is we'd like to work together with you as a team. And we're gonna come together to find a price that you're okay with and I'm okay with, and it ultimately get your home. Okay, how important was what just happened there? Get your home. As soon as I said that, you guys all said sold, yes? So when they did that, we did that, what happened in your mind that ultimately happens in their minds is they're thinking now of a price that will get their home, not just the price. A little bit different or a lot different in the psychology of it, okay? So taking that to the next step. So now what I'm going to do is working together as a team, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what I'd like you to do is take these 5 sheets, if you could please, have a look at them and tell me which one of these 5 is the closest match to your home. And then what do you do? Shut up. Quiet, total silence, don't do anything. Just be quiet and let them do their exercise, okay? So they will give you one. Now, when they give you one on your notepad, you write down price and then you write actives because that's what you're looking at now. And they give you a price here. An active hypothetically is in a $500,000 house, maybe an active price is 520. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a number. Okay. 520. Okay, good. They give you one 520. You write it down on your talking pad. Now you say to them, okay, if you could do me one more favor, could you go ahead and give me the second closest home that matches your home? Silent. They give you a number, 525. You write it down on your talking pad. Yes. Now we're going to go to the solds and we're going to do the same exercise. Give them the sheets. Go ahead. Tell me the price. Write it down. Second one, write it down. Now we're going to go to the expires, right? Now, as you said, as you remember, I said to you earlier at the very beginning of the presentation that I asked the question, are you familiar with the expired list? No, what's that? It's a group of people that didn't get to meet their goals and their dreams, and they didn't get their home. And you wouldn't want to end up on that list, would you? No, okay, so now let's look at this. Now we're going to the next area, which is the expired. So we're doing the same exercise. They give us a price. So in this scenario we're talking about, it might be 565 and then maybe 570 as an example, right? So now on our list, yes, we are going to go, let's say that it's sold 500 and 505. So in our price range now, as on our talking pad, we have a price at $500,000 to 570. Everybody got me on the 6 numbers that we went through, yes? So now the magical question or the money question. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, would you do me this favor and would you tell me the price, please, that we need to put your home at so it sells? And they look at each other. Do husbands and wives or, you know, couples or brothers and sisters or whatever it is, can they talk to each other without saying things? Quite often, yes? So then therefore, when that situation happens, they're looking at each other, snap, yeah? Who's in the charge here? So then we're looking at each other and they're coming up with something in their mind that they think is reasonable, true or false. So now when they come up with an active price, hypothetically, of 520, and that fits right into the range, who picked the price? Who really picked the price? Because you brought the right what? Information. But when they pick the price, here's the most important part of it. They will buy into that price, hook, line, and sinker, and they won't fight you on it. Like they will, example number 1, okay? Now, let's go to example expired, okay? Never happens, right? That they put the price at 565 or 580. True? Never happens. Michelle, you just finished talking about that quite a bit in your middle price range, right? This is exactly how you're going to solve that problem. of the middle price ranges. We follow exactly what we're gonna go through here and what we just did, they will solve the problem for you, okay? So now, they put the price at 580. They say, okay, the price is gonna be 580. This is what it will do it for. And for you, it's like a complete spellbound look. Remember, body language, facial expression, yes? Huh. I thought we said a few minutes ago, you didn't want to end up on the what? Expired list. And now you just put yourself there. Why? Silence again. Why? Because you want them to what? Fight it out. Yes, between them, not you. If they fight it out between themselves, then you are not the bad person. Everybody agree? They'll pick it themselves. Okay. Now, when I changed that and started presenting that way, the number of people that put it into the expired category dropped by like 80%. Because they pick it. Still happens, don't get me wrong, right? There's people that are in Dreamland, your group that you talked about, Michelle. And that happens, but you still have to decide in your heart of hearts that if you get it right 80% of the time without fighting them, is that good or bad? Pretty good, yes. Pricing and presenting. So that was presentation and pricing and presenting all in one there.
I'd like to ask a question about the different tactics that realtors like go out there and they offer them 10 or 20 above
The price,
anybody else. But they know what the price should be,
right?
but they know that also they're gonna have to.
Yeah. In my market in Camrose, obviously 60 miles from here, Beth Bratlin was the best at that there ever was. She worked for Royal LePage. She also carried 50 to 60 listings. Every single one of them was overpriced. Every single one of them was overpriced.
Just want to know.
But then she would just take a year or 18 months to pound them down. That was her philosophy. And so we as the strong agents, or the actual agents that understand marketing and understand the way to handle that. So now I'm going to throw it back to you. How would you handle that? How do you handle it? How should you handle that?
Well, I explained that this could happen. Don't be surprised if this happens. And they said, what? And then they said, somebody's gonna come over. And you want to list it.
Yep.
Said you're just gonna go, wow. But I just want to warn you that this could happen.
Right.
Think about it.
Good start. You're halfway there. Very good. You're halfway there. And I had to compete with this every day. So we had to get good at this because, again, in the real estate business, who agrees that losing sucks? Yeah. Okay.
That's
Well, yeah, but especially in ours, we're here today, man. In the real estate business, losing sucks, and losing means that you don't get the listing. Yes. So we have to figure out a way how to solve that. So what you said at the beginning was fantastic. Okay. Don't be surprised if this is going to happen. So in my listing presentations, I said, you're going to interview with Beth, right? Because there was Beth, myself, and Daryl got 85% of the listing presentations. The three of us were there. Okay. Yes, we're going to listen. Okay, good. So I want to let you know that this is what Beth's going to tell you. Well, how do you know what you're going to tell me? Well, I have some history. And so here's the situation. So this price is 500. She's going to say that you should go on at like 570 because it's a good market. Everything's great and it will sell and we'll get it sold and you'll make a ton of money. Fair enough? And you'll be all excited. You'll say, yes. Okay, good. So now let me show you something that might prove you wrong in your thought pattern of what's going to happen. So what did I bring with me? Curiosity. All of Beth's expireds and all the track record of the homes that she listed in the last 90 days. These people thought the same. These people thought the same. These people thought the same. Okay, so in the old days, of course, long before you guys were, some of you know MLS, you were on MLS when you very first came, yes? Okay. In Camrose, we didn't get an MLS until 2008. So we had feature sheets that you carried around to the other offices and you shared, and we had a binder, yes? So when we would get a price reduction from somebody, from, you know, central agencies or Royal LePage or whoever I was Central 21, from wherever you got a price reduction, then what happened was on the sheet in our binder, we just crossed it off and wrote the new price on there. Following? So on best listings, there'd be like 8 of those numbers on there. And say, well, here, let's have a look. This is what has happened in this people's home recently. Bang, bang, bang. And they're like, whoa, come on now. That's not fair. That's how slowly Beth disappeared. Because if you go with the right ammo, you will win.
But you don't always know who they're gonna be.
I always do.
You can ask.
Because I asked.
Yeah, I know.
And
And sometimes it just. takes a while.
So it's very important for me to role play this. You okay with that? Okay. Because role play is good, yes? How important is it to learn how to role play? A little or a lot? A lot, man. We got to learn how to role play. We got to practice, because this is where I want to practice, because out there it costs me thousands of dollars. Who's agreed? Okay, here it costs me nothing. If I look silly, oh well, I don't care. You look silly, hopefully you don't care. Because at the end of the day, we're growing and learning together, right? This is the art of selling we're working on here now. We did this right here, this, like, we used to call this the boilerplate. We did this every Saturday morning as a group, okay? We took our market share from 5 of us, started with Floyd Wickman in 1990. We took our market share from 17% to 32% in 2 years by doing this every Saturday morning, okay? Why? Because when those challenges come up, if you don't have an answer, you lose to whoever is your big producer out in this area. Because guaranteed they're out there, I don't know who it is, but somebody is getting the biggest piece of the pie. Yes, I want my piece. I want lots of it, but I just want my piece. Okay. How do I get a bigger piece? Being able to do this regular. Okay. So back to the question. Sorry, what was first name? Ian? Neil, sorry. Neil. Neil, what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask you this question. You had said that you were going to interview other agents. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. Tell me you're not going to tell me, obviously. So Neil, who else are you interviewing?
I'd kind of like to keep that private for right now.
Okay, cool. I can appreciate that. But let me ask you this question. If you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, it would help you to actually have me tell you and us to know together who you're going to interview. Would you be interested in letting me know that? No? So you're not interested, let us know. Okay, good. If I guess, would you tell me?
I don't play games.
Well, you're gonna.
No.
No, I'm not done. You're gonna, because when you laugh like that, because that's what people will do, yes or no?
Sure.
For me, the goal is to get you to smile and get you to laugh and get you to let the barrier come down. Yes? That's the art of negotiation. That's the art of being able to continue on down the trail.
But some of them have already determined, they already know who the competitor, no matter what. They have a friend, they have. somebody they know,
True. But you,
And they just want you out of there. as
True.
quickly as you
so
can.
I'm asking that question before we get to the appointment, though, Neil. Like I'm on the phone before I ever
Sure,
get to
yeah.
the appointment. I want to know, right?
Sure.
So in my market, again, and that's why I say you got to know your market, okay? In your market, if you're going to go to a listing presentation and you're doing listing presentation regularly, which I hope you are, you should be asking the question. You should very soon, you're going to hear the same names over and over. Okay, that's the way it is. So I would say, okay, you're going to get Beth, right? Back to our point, yes? How did you know that? You're going to get Daryl, right? Yeah, no, I don't like Daryl. Oh, okay, good. To me, that was Yahoo, right? Why? Took out one of the big producers before I even got there. I got one guy that's not coming, yes? Oh, okay, do you have a friend or a family in the business that you might be interviewing? Some questions, yes? And when you ask a good question and it's straight to the point, 9 out of 10 times they'll answer. Yes, I do. Okay, great. I love that. I appreciate that. I was that at one time. So when we get there and we go through the presentation, what I'd like to do, if you're okay with it, is I'd like to go ahead and be first to go through this presentation with you. The reason for that is that if you could use me as your measuring stick to compare to your family member or whoever else that you're going to interview, then from there you'll know whether you're getting what you should be getting. Does that sound fair now? Okay, so when are you interviewing the other agents?
Right after you leave.
Okay, good. Excellent. So then I'm going to, of course, close for the what? Appointment, yes? To when you're actually going to sit down, you're going to go through it with them, and then you're going to present now. Now, when you get through this, okay? Because this came up, we'll go through one more close that has to do with this. What today, as an example, Do you go first, Neil, or do you go second, or you go last, or does it matter?
Personally, it doesn't matter.
Okay, good. First, second, or last, or does it matter? First, okay, good, why?
Why should I?
Yeah.
Oh. Cut the other one off the list.
He heard me say I wanted to go first, so he's like, "I'm smart, man. I commend you for that. Okay, I want to go first always. How come? Because in my market, I don't want Daryl and Beth in front of me. Because there's a real good chance I'm not going to get in the door.
Well, you're also gonna be asking the business 1 or 2 times in the presentation, so.
Yeah.
What you're actually hoping to do is have them actually not have.
They're not going to have the interview to the other agents, right? If you do it right, and that's the art of the presentation, again, going all the way back to the very beginning of actually having a presentation, knowing how to present it, knowing your material, knowing how to handle the objections, watching body language, paying attention, and going through all of this. If we do all of this right, you will get the listing even if they have other appointments lined up. Yes? So now, you don't mind if we continue?
Try somebody else.
Neil's like, I've had enough of this. Okay, Steve, just for fun. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say that we went through the whole presentation. You've enjoyed the presentation. You've enjoyed what you've heard. And you would like to list, but you said, well, I have these other people coming and they're like, what am I gonna do? That's your question. Go ahead.
Yeah, what am I gonna do? I've got 10 agents. I'm interviewing behind you.
Wow,
I'm very, very price
you're very thorough, right?
conscientious.
You're a
Okay.
cheat.
Bit of an ass. So, okay, so now if I could solve that for you, Steve, would you be willing to go ahead and list your home with me today?
I certainly think so.
Is that a yes?
All right, it's a yes.
Okay, now don't forget, I'm gonna get him to commit now. How come?
Yeah.
Because I haven't solved it yet for him,
Yeah.
but I need him to commit that, yes, I will list with you if you can solve the problem. Okay? So now, would it be a fair statement, Steve, that you're a little bit concerned because of the fact that you've got these other people lined up to come and talk to you? Not that you need them anymore, correct? Did I just get the listing? Yes or no? Yep. But did I ask for it? No. I asked for it without asking for it, which is important. Everybody agree? Okay. So yes, if I can get rid of the other people, I will deal with it and I'll list with you. That's what he just said in that presentation. And you'll hear that a lot once you understand how to do it. Okay. Now, next thing is, this is how we'll do it, Steve. I promise you. Give me the list of people. And here's something that they all said to you. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. They all said when they come and sit down with you, they're going to have this list of buyers that they're going to bring into the house and they're going to show them and they'll sell it right away. Right? True?
Yep.
Okay. Now, notice I went from getting him to say a yes, and I've done this like 5 times to all of us, and I hope you're catching it now or seeing it. We don't want to go with a soft yes. Okay, like, yeah. We want him to go yes, stronger. How come? More commitment. Everybody with me on that? Yes, you're good with that. Okay, so then what we're going to do then, if we don't mind, is when I go ahead and I'll solve that for us then, Steve, is you give me the list of the agents that we talked about today. I'll go ahead and phone them all and let them know that all the buyers that they actually had, they can be the first people to present those buyers today before we put it on MLS. That way we have the maximum capacity to have all those buyers come as quick as possible and you'll win, they'll win, everybody wins. Would you agree?
Sounds excellent.
Okay, great. Give me the list. Great. And then sign them up. Off you go. Yes. Now, do we have to learn how to do that? I hope so. Yes. Do we want to go first? Yes. So that you don't end up getting that what? Call that says what? You don't have to come or bring your buyers, right? You don't want that call. So that was quite a bit on presenting, but it's such a valuable part of the business. Now we're going to go back to exactly everything that we just talked about, and we're going to reiterate all of that again to do with a buyer. Is everything that we just talked about is exactly the same for a buyer. Okay. So now to get a buyer to sign with us, the form, the document that we're talking about, to get them to sign with us, what are the 3 areas? We'll see, we're going to play on your memory now. What are the 3 areas that we're going to talk about with them so that they're comfortable to work with us? Yeah. you, brokerage, you, and your marketing plan. The areas again, yes, exactly the same three areas, yes. So hypothetically, we'll do it and we'll deliver this or talk about this very quickly in two different areas. Number one, you just got them to sign the listing contract, yes? And they're going to buy another house when they sell their house, yes?
Yeah.
Would that be a good time to get the buyer's contract signed?
Probably.
Real good or a little bit? Real good. How come? They're already in the mood of signing, yes? Anybody bought a house here, curiously, like actually bought the house, yes? When you went to sign the mortgage, if you had one, did you read everything in there? Or did you just sign where he told you to sign? Okay, everybody does it, yes? So then, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask you this question, is that now that we've went ahead, we've actually worked together to accomplish the task that we're gonna sell your home for you. You are gonna buy another home, right? Yes? Okay, so then, because we're gonna help you with that, it would only make common sense that we would help you to go forward to the next step as far as to actually get you to find that dream home, wouldn't it? So why don't we go ahead now and get that paperwork out of the way too? Perfect. Sign now, okay? Now, and then we're going to tell them that all the things that we just talked about in selling your home are all the same information we're going to utilize and take advantage of to get you to find your dream home. My company, my marketing plan, and me. And we'll show you how we handle all that. Fair enough? Okay? That's how we get right away. Do it immediately, because they'll sign it every time. If you do it right then and there, sign it. And then you don't get them sold. Anybody ever happen? You more experienced realtors? Sold their house. They're excited. They even give you a testimonial saying they're excited. And then they drive away and they drive past the for sale by owner and they buy it. And they phone, yay, I found a house. Anybody have that happen? Come on, tell me the truth.
Early days.
Yeah, tell me the truth, right? Happened to all of us, every single one of us that has happened to. We don't want that to happen, yes? And how do we control that? Is getting it signed right away, yes?
Yep.
Then we're in control, okay, for that part of it. Now, going back to the buyer. The buyer is exactly the same situation. We need to get together with them as quick as possible to sit down in your beautiful closing room you have right over here and go through an actual presentation with them to get them to agree to sign that form, okay? Now, I'll give you 3 reasons why they should sign that form and you tell me if you agree. If you do the buyer's presentation right and you actually take the customer out and do a really good job, are you going to save them these 3 areas? Are you going to save them money? Say yes, I hope that that's your plan. You're going to save them money. Are you going to save them time? I hope, yes, that's your plan. And you're going to save them convenience, yes or no? Okay, so write those 3 down because you're going to use this after I tell you how to use this, okay? So to get that buyer's contract signed or get that form signed, you get some resistance, true or false? Or that's why you don't do it right away. Because you're not necessarily afraid, but you don't want to have the resistance, you don't want to have the problem, so you want to build a rapport first, so that then when they sign it, they're comfortable with you, you're comfortable with them, and away you go. Fair enough? Yes? Fair. Okay, cool. So now, if we could change that for you, would you change it? Probably not. Okay, cool. So as far as that's fine. So, but if we could save you and them, more importantly, you, because we run a business, true or false? Is this a business that you're in? I hope so. Even if you're retired and you're just doing it part-time, it should still be a business. Because if you don't run it like a business, it will cost you money, it'll cost you time, and it'll cost you convenience, true or false? So if we can show you how to save yourself time, money, and convenience, along with them too, saving them time, money, and convenience, we all win. So, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, this could be on your conversion that we're talking about earlier, is about converting a lead. If we could, would you? I'd write that down as a money-making sentence, a money-making phrase. It's a very powerful phrase. If we could, ... would you? It's a money maker. One of the best money-making dialogues or phrases that you'll ever see in the real estate business. Because if you use it, you will get people to do things that you need them and want them to do for you to succeed easier. Okay? If we could, would you? If I could, would you? Okay? So if I could show you beyond a shadow of a doubt that by spending time here, you maybe have learned something about a listing presentation and you might want to use a listing presentation next time. Would you use a listing presentation next time? If I could, would you? Okay, if I could show you that cutting your commission won't necessarily be in your benefit, would you not cut your commission? If I could, would you? Okay. So now back to the buyer. If I could show you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, how to save you time, money, and convenience in the purchase of your home, would you be willing to sit down with me for 20 minutes? That'll save you hours. Would you be interested in sitting down for me with me? Now, if they say no to that, I want you to be very leery. Just think about it for common sense for yourself. Yes? If you're the person on the other end of the ladder and you gotta go. Okay, man. Oh, you should not run away. You should give me one of your cards. Put your card out there on the counter. If you have
Sounds
one.
good. I've got one of your forms too.
And we're going to do a draw.
See you, Danny.
We'll include
See
you
you
in the
guys.
draw today. Congratulations on getting started.
Thank you.
Okay, so if I could show you beyond a shadow of a doubt that we could save you time, money, and energy, would you be willing to sit down with me for 20 minutes? Yeah, okay. So now we're gonna invite them into the office. It's called CETO. Come to the office, okay? And sit down. Now you can do it at their house too. Bring your laptop, doesn't matter. But you're gonna go somewhere where you can sit down with them before you show them houses. Because when you ask them that question, it makes sense. And they're like, oh, well, okay, how are we gonna do that? But I'd like to see this house first. Okay, no problem. If you wanna do it that way, that's fine. Show them one house and then sit down with them. That's fine too, no problem. Because then maybe they teach you, you feel more comfortable that way. For myself, my confidence is very high. So I'm gonna get them into the office. I'm gonna sit them down and I'm gonna show them how we're gonna do this. Okay, now this is what we're gonna do. We're going to expand, not contract. Now you tell me if you do it the opposite. When you're going to show houses, do you narrow the field down? This is what I'm going to show them, right? These 3 or 5 or 7 or however many you're going to show in a day. Yes, that's what most people do. Okay, so I don't want to do that. Why? Because I don't want to show houses 3 or 4 or 5 times at 3 or 4 or 6 houses each time. I want to show them houses once, twice at the very most, and have them buy a house. Why? Because I don't have time to go out and show them houses 5 times because I want to save what? Time, money, and convenience for who? Me. That's a business. That's where I want to do this. Okay. So now, would you sit down? Yes, I would. Okay. So normally we have narrowed the field to what you think is going to match. Now, going back to the match situation that we talked about in the closing room, as far as for Jeff said, he asked about matching the customers as we went through, right? I try to remember it all. I can't remember it all, so but it's close as to matching the customer, right? So you're going to match what this wife says, husband says, now go show the house. Yes. Okay. So let's not bother doing that. So this is why. If they're going to look at $500,000 houses, just as an example, right? I don't know the market like you guys know the market, but if we were to say, okay, take me out right now and show me $500,000 houses in Sherwood Park, how many houses would you be able to show me? Within 10,000 below, 10,000 above. Anybody know? Best guess? Pardon me? 13, 10, 12, 15, something like that. In that price range. Okay, great. That's good. And I only said that because that was the price range that Michelle gave us earlier. Okay. At 500,000. So if there was 13 houses to look at, would they like all 13? Of course not. Yes. Are they going to like only 1 or 2 or 3? Maybe at best. Yes. Okay, so then let's get them into the office. Do it right here. Do it in your room over there. Do the search right in front of them that actually shows that we're going to look at everything that's for sale today between $475,000 and $525,000. 525 is the max that they could afford that they could ever buy. Okay, so we have that range, whatever that is. Now they're going to see that you're actually showing them every house that is for sale. How come? Because you just did it with them. Follow me? You just typed it into the computer. This is here, and this is here, and this is what MLS has to offer, and here's all the houses, however many there is. I want as big a number there as I can. If there's 30 houses, that's great. If there's 40 houses, that's great. On that search, how come? Because selling real estate is a no business, not a yes business. What that means is that we have to get more no's than we get yeses. Would you agree? The facts, right? We're gonna get way more no's than we ever get yeses. We're only get one yes, hopefully, they buy a house. They're gonna get a whole bunch of no's. But let's get those no's before we get out onto the street. So as an example, when you start looking at 475 on this search grid, and they're thinking 500, are they gonna like the 475s? No, of course not, right? They're gonna say no, 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 no. Finally, you're gonna get to 495 or 500 and say, oh, kind of like that one. Okay, cool. What is it about that one that you like? Now you're doing what? Writing it down, yes, of whatever they said. Now we're gonna continue on. When you're done, where are you gonna get more yeses? Higher than they can afford, everybody agree? Because everybody wants more than what they can afford. So now 520, 525, whatever it is, now is where your list is gonna get there. So we originally talked that you could afford 500, now you're telling me you can afford 525. Did you find an extra 25 grand since you came in here? No? Okay, so 500 is all that you can afford, yes? But if you had to find an extra $5,000 or $10,000, could you? Yes. Okay, well then maybe we should look at these ones here. Yeah, well, of course, you're going to, yes. So now you've narrowed it down and you've had them say no, 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 no several times. And who picked the list? You or them? Which list do they like better? The one that you pick or they pick? Them, right? Okay. Now here's a very valuable and very important piece of the puzzle when you're selling houses. When you're out there actively selling houses and you're showing them houses and you haven't went through an exercise like this, for you guys that have been in it for a long time, what's something they always say to you? There's something else. True or false? Okay. Did we, in the process that we just talked about, did we eliminate that problem? For that day, yes.
For that day.
For that day, something new could come up tomorrow. We know that, but they could buy a house today and something new could come up tomorrow. They go, it happens too. That's part of life. That's part of selling real estate. But at least now we know that we've shown them everything that's for sale. So then when it comes time for them to buy and time to make a decision, they're not second guessing, yes? They've written an offer because they're excited because that's the best home that's for sale. Now, by going through that process, let's reverse back to where we started. Did we save them time by doing that exercise? Yes. Did we save them money? How? How did you save them money?
Showing them what to do.
True, yes. And what else?
Not running around.
Yes. What else?
Not getting divorced.
Sure. Another way that you've saved the money is you've given them the knowledge of what is for sale in the market right now today. They know the market inside and out because they've seen everything that's for sale. True or false?
That's what we have the collab center.
Sorry?
That's what we have the collab center for.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, so
Oh,
please explain.
That's a drip.
Oh, dripping, yeah. But even though that's true, that's not exactly accurate, right? Because even though they're putting it onto their drip system or you're sending information out to them,
No,
yes,
it's linked directly to the MLS. As soon as something new comes that matches their criteria, they get sent.
right. Like how it used to be, there was a delay or a drag in that. Is it like instant now?
Pretty
No.
much.
Pretty much instant. Okay, good. So then right up to the minute that you did that search, that's even better. That means that now you're right up to date no matter what.
Yeah.
Other than something came on in the last hour when you've been out showing houses, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? They got told that it's for sale, something new, yes? Because it came as directly to them. So now you've saved them money because of the fact that they're very knowledgeable in the market. You've also saved the money because when it comes time to negotiate that contract, can you reference back to some other houses? Can you reference back to what they've seen? Compared to this house here, this is good value. Compared to this house here, this is good value. In this house here, you kind of liked it, but it ended up at the end of the day that this one has everything you wanted, less this one thing. And we can get it for this much money. We've saved them money in many different ways, okay? Also now convenience, the last one. We've saved them a ton of convenience, true? Because you didn't go look at houses 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times. Because it happens, people showing like 20 and 30 houses, like, oh my God, shoot me.
That's all.
There's no reason to show anybody 30 houses.
I showed 56, my client counted and told me.
It's insanity is what that is, yeah?
Well,
Definition of insanity is what?
Same thing over.
no, that's called Pop-Tart real estate.
Well, that's pretty close to, okay? So,
That's great.
You live and learn.
so what else is on our list? I know what time it
It's
is.
almost 12:30.
It's all through, yeah? I think that's what we said, so that's fine.
Finally got there.
Is our pizzas on the way, Stevie? Okay, good. So for me, as far as that goes, what I'd like to do now is just tell you a little bit about our program. The one impact program that you guys will tell you a little bit about, but at the end of the day, it's a program that you can join if you'd like for some coaching. It's a 1-year program that we have that has got 4 campaigns inside of that 1-year program. And at the end of the day, what it does is you'll have in the 4 campaigns, they're 14 weeks long. In each campaign, there is 7 sessions that is training. And in the 7 sessions, what you're doing is we're having a class that starts at 9:30 in the morning for you guys here. We have 3 different ways that we present inside that class. One is Ralph and I, my partner, doing a presentation on something to do with that's current and up to date in the real estate industry. The second thing is we bring in a top producing agent that is or part of somewhere in North America that will present what he or she is doing to do better in the real estate business. And the last part is the question and answer period, which is very interactive because we have a lot of people on there and a lot of people are asking good questions. And then if you can't, for some unforeseen reason, actually be there, then everything's recorded and all the material is there and you can go ahead and download it and watch it and get back into the material after that. So my partner Ralph is a very powerful realtor. We've had some time to spend together today. He, in his first year of real estate business, I'll tell you a little bit about him, did 271 listings, sold 130 of them himself, not a team, by himself, and was the #1 realtor in the world for Century 21 in the first year of business. Did more business the second year, but at the same time, he went ahead and he got himself a franchise, and he took that franchise for Century 21 and ran it up to #2 in the world for Century 21. Very powerful, strong man as far as knowledge goes. So we have a lot of information to give you compared to the program and then go from there.